So welcome again guys to the Fitness Shinobi channel. Now today's video will be a very important topic. Probably my most important video regarding health, the overall world. Now this is a big topic that a lot of people on both sides have a lot of different opinions. What I want to do is bring out the facts, personal experience, and for you guys to make your own choice. So hopefully you'll watch my video all the way through. Think about it, analyze before you comment. Now, let's get on with it. So to break it all down, what I'm going to be talking about in this video is the plant-based diet and in the three aspects of health, nutrition, the environmental aspects, and of course the moral and ethical values. Now, let's begin. So if you're watching this is part 1. By the time I upload this, there'll be a part 2 and a part 3. So watch for those in the future videos. And I'll link them below in my video once they're ready. So this is video number 1. Your health and nutrition on a plant-based diet or a whole food plant-based diet. Now, the very first thing, before we begin, let's talk about something very important to point out. The most leading cause of death, or the number 1 leading cause of death, is related directly to your diet. Get that in mind. That's very important. What you eat, what you become, a lot of diseases that we have in the modern world, especially in the Western side, it's all due based on our nutritional and dietary choices. And the problem is that a lot of people unfortunately suffer with many illnesses and pass away due to that. So now, here's my question before we begin. What is the number 1 leading cause of death in the world, especially in the modern world? That is heart disease. Now, especially in America, heart disease annually takes 610,000 lives every year. To put that in perspective, that's about 1 out of every 4 deaths. So it's a big deal. It goes heart disease followed by smoking and all the other illnesses, so that's a big thing. Now, that's very unfortunate because a lot of people that you might know, and I know personally, are suffering from diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart problems. You probably know someone in your family too, one of your friends that has some kind of heart disease or had a heart attack, something related with their heart problems. And what kind of, drives my gears a little bit is it's something that can be prevented. That's why I really advocate what I'm doing right now. So you see, that's a very unfortunate thing. A lot of people have to die of something that could have easily been prevented. But the problem is they lack a lot of knowledge and information. And hopefully with my video, why I'm making this, is to bring it out so you can do your own research, make your own thoughts, and actually analyze. Because don't just read whatever is said or even what I said. Don't just take my word for it. Go actually out there and research it. And a big part of that is why I'm actually including links down below to what I'm saying from credible sources, such as the American Heart Association and the CDC. And this is why I want to stray away from opinions and actually, guys, bring you the facts. So now, what can we do about all these diseases in the modern world? Starting from heart disease, obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, Alzheimer's, you name it. And that solution, scientifically based, or scientifically actually proven, is a low-fat, whole food, vegan, plant-based diet. No other way around, and I can show you why. And I actually have a little bit of evidence to show you right here, something miraculous. So now a whole food, plant-based diet has not only shown to prevent heart disease, but actually miraculously reverse it. So if someone's suffering, you put them on a plant-based diet, especially low-fat, and what happens is their heart disease actually starts reversing and healing. They can come back to being themselves again. So what that tells me also is maybe that's where the whole idea came from. You go that when you feed your body the right things it actually needs to eat, it rebuilds itself. And just the fact that you switch your diet around tells me that, hey, maybe this was what we're supposed to eat in the first place. And that also got me kind of in this mindset where I started to change and started to research much more into the nutritional aspects. And that's probably why you don't see me eating eggs, milk, or meat anymore. And further that, I'll explain why that is. So guys, as far as I know, people want to be healthy and have good health, right? There's no arguing there. Nobody wants to have poor health. But at the same time, people also want something that actually works, actually has evidence behind it, or at least some scientific background. And what can we do about that? What do we have here? We're in a modern world that can actually show that. And that is exactly what I'm talking about here. A whole food, plant-based diet. Now, the really sad part is a lot of people don't really even discuss this topic at all due to nutritional ignorance. And that is because Big Pharma, the egg, dairy, and meat industry work together and pump lots and lots of money into advertising and just overall influence. These industries, including the drug industry and all the animal product industry, such as the meat, eggs, and dairy industry, have a very big influence on the overall world and especially medical education. And a lot of doctors, that when they go to medical school, they do not focus that much on the nutritional aspect. From what I heard, it might be, maybe a few hours. Whole day's worth in their whole career. It's not a lot. And even then, it's a little biased because those big industries have a lot of money and influence. They want doctors promoting eggs, dairy, and meat. However, when you look at the scientific evidence of all of it, it shows a completely different picture. So all you have to do is look for yourself, do your own research. Now when you take a look at it, the meat industry tells you to eat meat because it's good for you. The egg industry tells you to eat eggs because they're good for you. And the dairy says to drink milk. And now I wonder, why is that? What could be a reason they say that? Is because they have a lot of evidence? Or maybe it could be something, financially that stimulates them. So yeah, you get my point. Now, let me compare what I'm saying right now to the tobacco industry just maybe half a century ago. Now, tell me this, is smoking bad for you? You don't know, or you know it's good? You see? Is it bad? Everyone about knows that smoking is bad for you, right? No arguing there. However, going back again, you can even look this up. There have been a lot of commercials. Probably you can find a video on YouTube. Hopefully I can link one down below. However, smoking was considered not threatening or life-threatening. Actually, doctors had a brand they would recommend and everyone smoked because people had ignorance. And people were very ignorant. You smoke, it looks cool, there's no side effects to it whatsoever. However, going all the way back to 1930, there were actually lots and thousands of studies that conducted that actually smoking has a horrendous effect on your health. You can develop lung cancer, other problems, cardiovascular disease. On top of it, it's another reason why you shouldn't smoke. Now the tobacco industry is still strong, but especially stronger back in the day, had a much bigger influence. Just like the egg, dairy, and meat industry have a big influence today, you see very similar connection. It took about 25 years after there were 1,000 of these studies to finally actually publish one study that shows to the public, hey, this has a negative effect on your health. Maybe you shouldn't do it. And over time, as people got up to the page, they caught up, they said, you know what, this is bad, and now look at every day today. It labels, smoking can cause cancers, other problems, right on the back of the package. So, and by today's day, when we brought it all up, everyone knows smoking's bad for you. Now, of course, I do understand where people come from. They have a lot of stress. They need to smoke. I'm not totally, not understandable. But if you want to deal with stress, there are better ways. Because yes, one way, you're dealing with stress, but you're creating so much more health problems that it's going to create every other kind of problem, including stress, down the road. Plus, you're not going to live longer. I mean, if you want to live a short life, kind of enjoy it if you consider that enjoying it. I mean, it's up to you. I'm not here to stop you. But even you should know that smoking is bad for you, right? It's just an addiction problem some people try to get over. Now, bring that back to the meat and dairy industry. What happens is the same problem. People are pretty ignorant. This is like the 1950s tobacco industry, only today it's just called the animal product industry. Same thing, people are slowly catching up. There's lots of studies proving the adverse effects of it. However, not a lot of people want to look at it. And slowly, as you see it, a lot of these plant-based diets, maybe in the store you see a lot of plant-based diets, vegan options, start appearing in the store. It's not just a trend. It's just there's a lot of evidence. People are actually reading it, and slowly it's starting to get popularity or raise. So let's take a look at some evidence, starting with the plant-based diet. First thing we have is, like I said before, whole plant vegan diet can actually reverse heart disease. So here's a picture of someone's arteries who has clogged arteries, and then you put them on a whole plant-based vegan diet. As you can see in the arteries, they actually started to declog and actually started to reverse the heart disease process. Now, there are two main reasons why I avoid animal products. Number one is they're high in cholesterol. Now, virtually, here's my challenge to you. Find me an animal product that does not contain cholesterol. I don't mean just the nutritional label where you look at it and it says 0 on it. Because when you actually dive into it, it has very insignificant amounts. But it still contains cholesterol. Now, the best thing to do is to avoid cholesterol altogether. Now, what role does cholesterol play in terms of your health? Well, it clogs up your arteries. It's cholesterol, but as well as saturated fat. But more importantly, cholesterol, because that only comes from animal product. There is not a single plant that contains cholesterol, literally. I even challenge you up to it. If you can find me, prove me wrong, but you won't find it. It only comes from animal product. That's why you and me, we have cholesterol in it. Our body already has enough cholesterol as it is. Its own levels. When you add more to it, you're not doing yourself a favor. You're only increasing your chances to develop heart disease and other illnesses. So guys, I also wanted to state that I'm not perfect myself. In fact, going back most of my life, especially when I was a kid, I would eat cheese, I would drink milk, eat meat, and of course eat eggs. That was the last thing I gave up. So long process short, maybe five or 6 years ago only, then I started the whole process. So I'm fairly new. For a while, I gave up meat, where I really seldomly, maybe like over the holidays or at a barbecue, I might have a little bit. But other than that, I didn't eat it. I used to drink milk. Then I think around 2013, actually a year before that, I gave up milk. So it's been quite a while. Now, in my personal experience, for a few years, I used to actually eat almost a completely plant-based diet. However, there were some exceptions where rarely I might eat some cheese, something like that. But I would have eggs almost weekly. So, maybe not every day, but once a day, once every other day. However, when I checked my blood pressure, it was around 138, 145 over 80 or 90. So it was pretty high. It's supposed to be about 120 to 80. So regardless, even though I was working out, everything was good. Even eating that little egg, 1 or 2 eggs a day, still kept my blood pressure up high. So, I couldn't figure out because I thought, hey, an egg has a lot of these nutrients that you need. That's why before I used to even have videos where I would eat egg. As you see me right here, I can present you one.
The Ninja Shrimp Noodle by Fitness Shinobi. First you want an egg noodle, then some black seaweed for extra flavor, and for protein and meat, we want some frozen cooked shrimp. You can use any shrimp, but these are already nicely done. Some Vegeta for extra flavor, and then an egg. Then just put the egg in there. The egg. Man, I can almost taste this yummy, delicious meal. Ta-da-ta, yum yum yum. Shrimp, seaweed, and noodle.
Now, when I researched into it, an egg had a lot of cholesterol, one of the most cholesterol-dense foods there is. And going more than that, I thought, I probably need to eat it because it gives me a good source of protein, combined with a lot of minerals and nutrients I can't get elsewhere. However, when I looked into an egg compared to a lot of the plant-based options, it was actually a lot inferior. That amount, those little minerals, yes, it does contain those minerals, but they're so insignificant, very little. Some foods, they do contain minerals, but very small, insignificant amounts, like you take table salt. Has a little bit of iodine, other little minerals. However, they're very insignificant altogether. So, but hey, it contains all of these minerals, you see? So that's kind of where the myth comes in. When you actually look at the amount, it's very insignificant. Almost all foods contains a little bit of those minerals. What you want isn't enough. A sufficient amount of minerals and vitamins. Now, reason number 2 why I avoid animal products is due to IGF-1, insulin-like growth hormone 1. Now, what that does is it actually increases or accelerates the aging process in a human being. Meaning the more and more you consume products that contain IGF-1, which is primarily a lot of meats, eggs, and dairy. Almost all animal products, even though they have protein, that protein contains IGF-1. And another very scary thing is it actually helps promote the growth of cancer. So if you have any kind of cancer illnesses, this adds fuel to the fire. It's like pouring gasoline over. That's what it does. Now, put this up against a whole food plant-based diet where it's loaded with antioxidants. Speaking, that's another reason I avoid meat is it contains no antioxidants. Lots of saturated fats, IGF-1, and cholesterol. All those things I don't need versus plant-based. Yummy plants you can eat. What do they give me? They give me fibers. Another thing that meat lacks. Fiber helps your digestive system, keeps you full. 2, they contain lots of antioxidants. That actually, that instead of making you age, it actually slows the aging process down. So you're combating that. Low calorie and yet very nutritionally dense. So all those reasons put together, it's just a much better option. And when you eat, you don't have to limit yourself. You don't have to starve. Standard diet, same amount of food, eating a plant-based diet. You start to lose weight and you just start to feel much, much better. Now let's take a look at Okinawa, where the life expectancy is among the highest in the world, where everyone about lives to 100 and over 100 years old. And still, they don't have the problems we have in the West. They don't know heart disease, they don't have high blood pressure, nor diabetes. However, this has changed in the recent years. Well, not recent, but recent decades, where McDonald's and all these fast food joints have infiltrated the culture, so to say. So a lot of people are switching, eating this new, diet instead of what they normally ate, which was those purple yams. They ate mostly vegetables. Very few, I think, time to time they ate a little fish, but 90% of their diet consisted of whole plant-based foods. However, now this newer generation that's starting to eat just like in the Western diet, now what you're noticing is their age expectancy is, boom, plummeting down. They're getting obesity problems, diabetes, and heart disease. And unfortunately, the new, younger generation is not even able to live up to the older generation, which is a big problem. If this trend continues, it doesn't look good. But also shows you that when you ate the normal way that you should versus this newer way where you overconsume animal products, you get a big problem. So I'll put those links down in the description below. So hopefully, guys, it helps you out a little bit. I know it's a little disorganized and there's just way too much information. I try to make this video, but it's a little bit overwhelming. And I don't always explain everything in the best way. But however, this is also why I provided the links below. In my personal experience, I can tell you a little story how it all started. I had a friend who was a vegan. He switched about a year or two, and what I noticed is he started to slim down and lose a lot of weight, but he had the most energy out of anyone. So that guy would be running back and forth nonstop. I'm like, what are you eating that makes it different? He said, I don't eat any animal products. I said, really? Not even eggs, anything like that? Because I used to, I would eat eggs. I thought it was a good source of protein. He says, no, none of that. Just plant-based. So, I decided, what the heck? I'll try it as an experience. I'll give it up. And like I said, first, since I already didn't really eat much eggs or, meat, it was easy. But as far as eggs, I decided, I'll give it up. And Miraculously, like I stated before, my blood pressure went down to a regular level. On top of it, I started to lose weight. So not only with exercise, I was doing everything the same way it was, but all I did was I just changed my diet and I started to lose the weight. I didn't want to make this video because I wasn't a vegan or a plant-based diet, or I wasn't on a plant-based diet, so to say, for a significant time. You can't just say, I'm going to try it for a month or a week and, hey guys, look, it works. I wanted to try it at least a whole year. So about this time, add a few months over, I first started and I fully transitioned to a plant-based diet. And from there, only great things have happened. Now, I'm not here to prove that I'm right and you're wrong or etc. I just want you guys to be more informed. I was the same way. I was ignorant nutritionally. Over time, over studying, finding new sources, actually trying it out, experiencing, seeing the effects, plus it being scientifically backed, really puts it into perspective what's right and what's wrong. And that's not my opinion. I mean, you can just look at it. You know, I adapted it. I was wrong myself. So, you see, nothing wrong with that. So, when you make a mistake, admit it, move on. That's how you progress. At the end of the day, it's your life and your health, and that's your responsibility alone, not mine. I took responsibility. That's the route I'm going to go because it works so well, and it actually improved my life. Now, you can take what I used, study it, and try it yourself. Or not, you know, it's up to you. Mainly, I'm doing this as a way to help inform you. Open up maybe new directions. Maybe some of you never heard about this. You never heard how dangerous milk, dairy, and eggs can be. Especially, or maybe it's not convincing enough. Maybe those make you look more deeper into it and think twice. I mean, I'm sure it made me think twice, and I'm glad it did. But however, I mean, if you have high blood pressure, you have obesity problems, you can't seem to lose weight, I mean, overall, your arteries are clogged, and anything else you can do. So all I'm saying is, try it out. Even if you try, you know, a month or two, you'll definitely see some results. I just, guys, want you to be more healthier and more nutritionally knowledgeable. That's the whole end goal, especially for the health and nutrition. So that about wraps it up. So thanks for watching and stay tuned for the other 2 videos in the series. I'll see you next time.